So we welcome you inside the Eden Prairie Community Center on MN Hockey TV this evening for the Eden Prairie Eagles as they take on the Totino-Grace Eagles this evening along with David Hill. And I am Patrick Lilia. It's a pleasure to be with you from the Community Center here on Teacher Appreciation Night. A number of Eden Prairie teachers and personnel honored before the game. We talk about the teams coming in. Eden Prairie coming off a big victory over Edina. Got out to a 3-0 lead, had to hold on for a 3-2 victory. As Jackson Blake has joined varsity, and Carter Batchelder, who scored a goal in that win over Edina, is back from injury. So the Eagles, Eden Prairie Eagles, back at full strength for the stretch run toward sectionals. They'll take on Totino-Grace, a team that record-wise has struggled in its last 12. They're 2-9-1, but they have played any manner of difficult games over that stretch, including competitions such as Blaine, Maple Grove, Holy Angels, Andover, and a lot of just unbelievable wild games over that stretch. As Totino-Grace had 4 straight overtime games, each game more improbable than the last, including a game against Andover that finished in a 3-3 tie that saw the Eagles go in front with 1:35 to play, but Andover managed to tie it before the end of regulation. A game against Elk River where the Elks came back from a 5-2 deficit to tie the game with under 3 minutes to play in regulation, although Totino-Grace was able to pull that one out in overtime, courtesy of Luke Delzer, who had a torrid stretch on the last Totino-Grace homestand. He scored 8 goals in the span of 3 games at one point. Then the powers kept coming, and Totino-Grace has had a couple of tough outings in a row against Maple Grove and against Blake. Got off to a fast start against Blake, but the Bears, who beat Eden Prairie on this ice sheet just a week before that, showing everybody why they are a top championship contender this season. As the Eden Prairie Eagles being introduced, the Eli Andrews in goal, 9-3-1 with a 2.34 goals against average. On the flip side, Wes Johnson in goal for Totino-Grace, 4-9-1, a 4.89 goals against average. As the Eagles starters finish being introduced, and we're going to take a break and come back with a puck drop from the Eden Prairie Community Center. Eden Prairie and Totino-Grace coming up next. To welcome you back inside the Eden Prairie Community Center, getting set for puck drop between Totino-Grace and Eden Prairie. Eden Prairie coming in with a 14-5 overall record. It's a double barrel night here on MN Hockey TV. We've also got Minnetonka against Lakeville North streaming right now from Pagel Activity Center. Minnetonka and Eden Prairie will be getting together on Saturday in a crucial late conference clash. As we are in the final 2 weeks of the regular season. Kind of tough to think about. Felt like we just got this campaign started at the end of November around Thanksgiving, and here we are with the clock winding down on the regular season and teams looking to secure sectional seedings. Totino-Grace will have a big game on Thursday night. It'll take on Centennial, and that could determine who gets home ice advantage in the 5AA section. Blaine and Maple Grove likely to come out as the top 2 seeds in that section, with Champlain Park, Totino-Grace, and Centennial fighting for the final 2 top half seeds. We're underway. Kyle Heffern controlled. He sent it into the Eagles zone where the Eagles will play it back out. Will head in toward goal, and it has to be steered aside by Wes Johnson. Parker Ganaz plays it over toward Kyle Heffern. Heffern can't clear the zones. Is kicked into the neutral zone as Luke Middlestead plays it back in deep. Howie Moore will get it back to his partner, Parker Ganaz. Moore and Ganaz have played a lot of heavy minutes over the last few weeks as Ben Steeves with it. Steeves circling the net down toward the near side as he gets it off ahead of Moore. Luke Middlestead drives one through traffic wide of the net up toward the far side. It's slowed down on the far side by Cam Langfels. Played around the net. Howie Moore doing a good job of cutting off John Middlestead as he clears it out through neutral ice. Luke Middlestead will try to play it ahead of Kyle Heffern. Heffern, the leading scorer for the Eagles, 19 goals on the season, 40 total points as the Eagles clear it back out into the Totino-Grace zone as Luke Schroeder with it. Schroeder will dump it in deep to the Eden Prairie zone as Langfels loses it to Austin Bernovic, centering feed out front for Connor Smith. Then he couldn't quite get anything on it. And Smith on the back door was almost able to hammer that one in off the centering feed. As Bernovic drops it back to Schroeder. Schroeder with a shot save. Rebound! Bernovic just pushed it wide. He had a wide open net. Austin Bernovic, who got off to a hot start this season and has started to come back to being a big factor on the score sheet for Totino-Grace over the last couple of games. A couple of great chances there as Bernovic winds up. Save Andrews up into the far side corner. That's pushed past Mason Langenbrunner. And now up on the near side, here's Luloff with it. Luloff getting it ahead to Drew Holt. Holt into the offensive zone. Quick shot deflected wide of the net as it plays up toward the far side. The Eagles able to hold the zone courtesy of Carter Batchelder. Batchelder, we talked about, missed a handful of games. But is back on the ice. He scored a goal in that win over Edina. Here's Canyon Pergandy flipping one wide through the blue. It's a shot that's saved by Johnson off the stick of Riku Brown as it goes to the end boards. It's Brown fighting for it. But coming out with it was Kai Stansberry, and now it's taken away by Darby Jones of Totino-Grace. Jones into the offensive zone. It'll be played to the end boards as Sam Thielen tied up with Luke Middlestead as Jones drops it back to the blue line. But then Howie Moore can't quite hold the zone. Eagles will have it in their own end once again as Middlestead sends it far side. Now Luke Middlestead setting up again in front of his own net. It's taken away. Delzer with a quick shot wide of the net. Delzer on the second attempt. That was saved by Andrews as he knocks the net off. 14:23 to go first period. Totino-Grace nothing. Eden Prairie nothing. Luke Delzer, we talked about his hot stretch coming into the top of the game. Had a 3-game span on the Totino-Grace homestand recently. Scored 8 goals in those 3 games, including 4 in a loss to Blaine. It's a shot from the point, tipped wide of the net from Jones. As John Middlestead trying to get Delzer tied up behind the net. Eden Prairie eventually able to work the puck free as Steeves will play it up to the far side corner toward Jake Casey. Casey, though, can't get it ahead of Kyle Heffern. And Parker Ganaz can't hold the zone as Ben Steeves racing to catch up to it. Steeves dropped it behind him for a shot by Jackson Blake, and it's held onto by Wes Johnson. 13:53 to go here in the first period, and Jackson Blake has already made a splash in just 2 varsity games thus far, already racking up a pair of goals in those 2 games. That shot in the arm that Eden Prairie needs as we head towards sectionals and hopefully for Eden Prairie into the state tournament. As Totino-Grace gets it out into the neutral zone, Oliver Moore carries it into the offensive zone. Has it knocked away by Mason Langenbrunner. Sent out into the neutral zone as Ganaz sent it back in deep for Totino-Grace as Eden Prairie setting up behind their own net. 13:30 to go, first period, and no score. Totino-Grace having a brilliant scoring opportunity as Austin Bernovic missed on a wide-open net with a rebound a couple minutes ago. As we'll have a whistle here with 13:24 to go in the first period. The center ice face-off coming. As Kenyon Pergandy will take it against Adam Johnson as Eden Prairie controls the face-off. They drop it back to Will Britton. Britton will play this one ahead of Riku Brown, and that'll go for an icing. We'll have a face-off in the Eden Prairie zone. 13:14 to go here in the first period. No score. Along with Dave Hill, and I'm Patrick Lilia from the Eden Prairie Community Center. It's Pergandy and Adam Johnson in the face-off circle. Face-off rolls its way through the slot as Brown able to push it out to neutral ice. And Stephen Golden able to play it back in deep to the Eden Prairie zone as Langfells trying to get it toward Luke Middlestead in the corner. Middlestead trying to dig it out as Pergandy will play it far side for Stansberry. Stansberry will flip it in deep to the Totino-Grace zone. It comes down through the near side corner. It's Patrick Finley trying to get to it, but it's taken away by Jake Luloff. As Finley and Luloff still battling for it. Totino-Grace able to break out with it, then whiffing on the cross-ice pass was Connor Smith as it's sent back in deep to the Totino-Grace zone. Golden plays it up toward the far side. It's taken away out front. Johnson able to make the save on the Batchelder drive. Batchelder was able to take that turnover and drive in on Wes Johnson, who made a save at point blank. Icing here with 12:26 to go here in the period. No score. Teacher Appreciation Night here at the Eden Prairie Community Center. Face off, poked up toward the far side boards. It's gathered in by Holt. Holt will play it around the net with Jack Gray all over his back. It's a shot from Langfells wide of the net. The rebound works its way over toward the near side. It's flipped high up into the neutral zone as Luke Middlestead trying to knock it down as he battles with Jack Gray. Eden Prairie will have to set up in their own zone. It's a nice job here by Kyle Heffern to take it away, keep it in the Eden Prairie zone as Eden Prairie able to flip it back out. It's Howie Moore with it on the near side as he tries to bank it ahead toward the red line as Luloff able to take it away. Gets it to Holt. Holt with a quick shot wide of the net. Drew Holt, who had a monster game in the win over St. Michael Albertville a couple weeks ago. It's flipped up toward the far side, including a shorthanded goal in that game. Luke Busby with it. Busby trying to center it. Batchelder had to go off his stick. Puck is still loose in front of the net as Holt couldn't quite get it on his stick. And now Oliver Moore trying to play it back behind the net. As Howie Moore was able to get it tied up long enough for it to be pushed down toward the near side as it's pushed up into the rafters. And we'll have a face-off. 11:17 to go here in the first period. No score. Totino-Grace and Eden Prairie. John Middlestead will take the face-off against Oliver Moore. Face-off, push to the corner as Middlestead puts a hit on Golden. Loose in front, a quick shot again by Steves and a save by Johnson. There's Blake on the near side, battling with Golden. Blake trying to fight through the circle. It's able to be taken away. Here's Connor Smith with it. Smith will flip it through neutral and will go for icing with 10:55 to go here in the period. You see Eden Prairie starting to get those top lines working. Russ Johnson having to make a couple of saves at point blank here in the first few minutes. Pergandy will take the face-off against Oliver Moore. Moore will now be kicked from the face-off circle. Connor Smith jumping in. It's won by Smith as Golden trying to carry it around the net. Plays it off ahead of Pergandy toward the far side. Now in front of the Totino-Grace bench, it's able to be held in by Riku Brown. Brown battling forward up in the far side corner. Bernovic pokes it back to Langenbrunner with a shot that'll go wide of the net down to the near side. Busby trying to poke it back into the corner. Stansberry. It's Langenbrunner with it again. Langenbrunner with a shot saved by Johnson up into the far side corner. Comes back out to Langenbrunner at the blue line as he thought about the shot. Almost taken away by Bernovic as Langenbrunner forced to retreat with Bernovic still harassing him. Langenbrunner back into the offensive zone, and he rips the shot wide of the net. As it's able to be cleared out by Oliver Moore, and that'll be an icing with 10:09 to go here in the first period. No score, but Eden Prairie continuing the offensive zone barrage. Totino-Grace plays it over towards Sam Thielen. It's able to be nearly taken away by Langfels as Batchelder will go chase it down in his own zone. Darby Jones was all over him as well. 9:52 to go here in the first period and no score. It's Adam Johnson able to gather it in at the red line. Johnson to Adam Thielen. Thielen on the far side, up in the far side corner. Sam Thielen. Not the first time I've made that mistake covering Totino-Grace this season. Luloff getting it into the offensive zone for Holt. Luloff can't get it on his stick as Howie Moore, despite being spun around, able to play it back to the blue line. It's played down toward the near side. It's Ganaz with it. Ganaz chips it out to neutral ice. It's flipped back in by Casey. Totino-Grace doing a good job of holding that blue line as it's played back out to neutral. They get it to Delzer. Delzer 1-on-2. Delzer, quick shot saved by Eli Andrews with 9:05 to go here in the first period. No score. Face off to the right of Andrews. Controlled by Totino-Grace. They'll play this through the corner, down toward the near side. As Kyle Heffron puts on a big hit in the corner, a stretch pass well out of reach, trying to get it to Blake. Icing waved off. As Blake trying to catch up to it, but Golden has it. Golden will flip it off the glass. Eden Prairie able to hold Steves. Getting it to John Middlestitt. Britton with it. Britton with a shot pad save. Wes Johnson as Luke Middlestitt sliding up to hold. He plays it along the far side. Blake. Blake, though, can't get through Heffron and Patrick Finley as it comes down into the near side corner. Played along the near side into the neutral zone as Britton there to knock it down. It gets down the stick of Ben Steves. Steves into the offensive zone as Golden able to knock him off the puck. It's played back toward Britton. Britton gets it back to Luke Middlestitt. Get it through to Blake. Blake up to a quick shot from Steves who hit the post. It ends up back in the neutral zone as Luke Middlestitt couldn't quite hold it. You'll see number 23, Kyle Heffron, a lot. He's kind of a roamer. They kind of like to get him space to operate, though he'll operate both from the forward and the defensive slots, particularly in the offensive zone. And we'll get a whistle with 7:50 to go here in the first period. And a penalty coming here against Totino-Grace, so that'll put Eden Prairie on an early power play. And it will be Heffron going for a trip. With 7:50 to go here in the opening period, Eden Prairie will go on the power play. They've spent a lot of time in the offensive zone so far in this first period, but haven't been able to get one by Wes Johnson. They come in with a 25.8 power play percentage. They control in the offensive zone. Batchelder behind the net, drops it to Holt. As Langenbrunner slides it through, trying to get it back to Batchelder. Luloff sends it through the corner up toward the far side, and now here is Luke Delzer the other way. Totino-Grace have scored a lot of shorthanded goals this season as there's a shot saved by Andrews from Luke Delzer. It's Batchelder on the far side, quickly back into the offensive zone. Batchelder will drop it to Holt. Now back to Holt, send it toward the far side circle. But for a one-timer from Langenbrunner, and he kind of just chopped at it a little bit. He slid it down low for Batchelder, and he pushed it wide. He dropped it back to Holt in the circle. Holt battling with Sam Thielen. Thielen able to disrupt that long enough to force it to the end boards. Holt back to Langenbrunner. Holt with a quick shot save again with the pad by Wes Johnson. It comes down into the near side corner. Holt again. Holt with a shot blocked by Thielen. Batchelder getting tied up in the near side corner as Holt coming over. He'll go to the ice as the Eagles, Totino-Grace Eagles, able to clear with 50 seconds to go on the power play. Kyle Heffern, who is in the penalty box, has a number of shorthanded goals this season, including a 3-on-5 in a win over Coon Rapids. As Steves on the far side as he tries to work it around Connor Smith. Over to Blake. Blake to John Middlestead. Middlestead still with it. Middlestead with a shot wide of the net. Middlestead will get to it in the corner as it pops free to Steves. Steves on the near side. Ends up with Blake. Blake back to Steves on the far side circle. John Middlestead. Middlestead on the far side to Luke Middlestead. Luke Middlestead. That one just tipped wide as they got it to Steves. Here's Blake out front for Riku Brown, and a glove save by Wes Johnson as he tipped it away. 3 to John Middlestead. Steves scores! Ben Steves was able to gather in that loose puck right after it hopped off the stick of John Middlestead. And he extends his team lead to 23 goals. That will be an even strength goal officially for the Eagles of Eden Prairie. They lead it 1-0 with 5:37 to go in the first period. The puck came off the stick of John Middlestead, but Ben Steves was right there to clean it up. And Eden Prairie on top, 1-0. Riku Brown picks up the secondary assist, and we're going to get another penalty coming here against Totino-Grace. That goal coming at 11:23 of this first period. Steves from Middlestead and Brown. Now Connor Smith will head to the penalty box for Totino-Grace. It's played into the neutral zone. Eden Prairie will set up deep in their own end, so Smith off for a hook. As they'll set up, here's Batchelder from his own zone. As they'll flip it in deep to the Totino-Grace zone. Batchelder showing off that speed as he was able to beat Parker Ganaz to that puck as it comes over toward the near side. Langenbrunner. Langenbrunner loses it off his stick back into the neutral zone. It's Heffron all over him. Heffron nearly able to take that one away there as well as Batchelder back in his own zone with it. Batchelder will drive around Heffron. Batchelder battling with Ganaz. As Batchelder circles the net, drops it back to the point. Holt on the near side. Holt with a shot wide of the net. That comes up the far side board. Here's Langenbrunner with it. Holt on the near side once again. Holt over to Batchelder. Langenbrunner in front of the blue line. Langenbrunner drops it back to Holt. He has to get it out of his skates. A quick shot wide of the net. Again, it's able to be gathered in by Langenbrunner. Langenbrunner back to Holt. Langenbrunner gets it to Holt for another drive and a shot blocked out front. Yes, Heffron will be able to swat this one into the Eden Prairie zone as he'll battle with Langenbrunner for the puck in the near side corner. That's exactly how Heffron has generated so many of those shorthanded goals this season. Ben Steves into the offensive zone. Steves driving in front of the net. Turnaround shot saved by Johnson, covered up with 20 seconds to go on the power play and 3:41 in this opening frame. Face off to the right of Johnson. It's controlled by Totino-Grace as it'll get by Luke Middlestead and will go the length of the ice. As Sam Thielen racing to get to it ahead of Jackson Blake. Blake has it tied up in the corner as Luke Middlestead joins the fray. Blake able to come out with it as the power play is coming to an end. And Totino-Grace coming back to full strength. Steve is ringing the net up toward the far side. as John Middleton was able to slow it down just enough for Langfeld. We're going to get a penalty coming here against Eden Prairie as it's pushed into the Eden Prairie zone. Oliver Moore almost generating the attack there, and we will have a penalty coming against Eden Prairie. Though the steady march to the penalty box continues. Totino-Grace has been very good on the power play this season, 31.6. Number was a little higher coming into the more recent games. That have a power play goal in the loss to Maple Grove. So Totino-Grace has been very good on special teams this season. The turnaround shot by Bernovic was blocked. Puck is sent up toward the far side circle. Oliver Moore with it. Moore with Luke Middlestead trying to poke it away. He gets it ahead to Holt. Holt will play it into the Totino-Grace zone. Around Ganaz. It'll come up into the far side corner. Gets it over to Batchelder on the near side. Will drop back into the neutral zone. There's Busby with it on the near side. Busby will play it in as Heffron knocks it down with the left hand. Oliver Moore accidentally sending it deep into the Totino-Grace zone. Will set up behind his own net. He'll drop it back behind the net. It's Ganaz getting it ahead toward Heffron. Heffron with a nice move around Steves. Heffron into the offensive zone, but is poked away by Langenbrunner. Heffron able to get it back to Ganaz at the blue line. Shot through traffic was blocked in front, trying to get it down low to Bernovic. Heffron on the near side. Heffron able to slide it through towards Smith on the far side circle as Steve's able to gain control and clear with 45 seconds to go on the Totino-Grace power play. Heffron setting up on the near side, banks it ahead. It's intercepted by Luke Middlestead. Middlestead tripped up going into the offensive zone. It's going to be a penalty against Kyle Heffron. And that will end the power play with 35 seconds to go with the man advantage. So Heffron has his second penalty of the period. And we will play some 4-on-4 for the next 35 seconds. Minute 39 to go here in this first period. 1-0. Eden Prairie leading it. Ben Steves picking up the goal with help from John Middlestead and Riku Brown. Coming at the 10:23 mark of this first period. Luke Delzer with it. He'll send it toward the far side. Nice job by Howie Moore to fight his way through with Middlestead with it behind the net. Middlestead able to get it over to Jackson Blake on the near side. Blake into the offensive zone trying to get through Delzer, but he can't as Luke Middlestead winds up for a blast, and that's saved by Johnson. You know, Wes Johnson has made some nice saves here in this first period. 7 seconds in the 4-on-4, 1:10 to go in the period. He's able to be controlled by Ganaz. He sends it toward the far side, out of reach of Delzer as Oliver Moore able to catch up to it. Moore is tripped up by Ben Steves and goes hard into the net. That'll be a penalty against Eden Prairie. But Oliver Moore and Austin Bernovic have been two of the top producing freshmen in Double-A this season. We will have more 4-on-4. Moore coming into the game with 2 goals, but a healthy amount of assists. And Oliver Moore there almost broke into the offensive zone. So Jackson Blake picks up the penalty. We'll have 4-on-4 for 1:13 as Luke Delzer able to take it away. Here's Steves able to get it back. He tries to push it past the red line. John Middlestead into the offensive zone as Howie Moore able to stay with him. Pushed along the near side boards. Now back through the neutral zone as Luke Middlestead will pick it up and set up behind his own goal line. 30 seconds to go here in the period. 50 seconds of 4-on-4. Steves into the offensive zone. Steves ripped a shot and a glove save by Wes Johnson with 21.4 to go here in the first period. 1-0 Eagles leading it. We at the 11:37 mark. Steves with his 23rd from John Middlestead and Riku Brown. Totino-Grace controls the face-off. Ganaz will work behind his own net. We get it off toward Howie Moore, bank toward Connor Smith. Smith beating into the offensive zone, drops it to Bernovic with a shot over the net. 6 seconds to go here in the period. As Eden Prairie will just hold it behind their own net, and the period will come to an end. 21 seconds of 4-on-4 will start the second period. Eden Prairie getting that lone goal. Ben Steeves from John Middlestead and Brown at the 11:23 mark of the opening period, but Totino-Grace playing well. They played a lot of tough teams really well over these last couple of weeks, and looking tonight to be no exception. So we go to the first intermission here at the Eden Prairie Community Center with Eden Prairie 1 and Totino-Grace nothing. We're going to take a break here on MN Hockey TV and come back in about 10 minutes with your second period.
I think that being in a sport, it has built into it the concept that we are going to face a challenge. When we do sport the right way, we are teaching values. We're teaching kids how to be hard workers. We're teaching kids how to be courageous, to be fearless. Dynamites, because we have a focus on whole life youth development, physical, academic, social and spiritual excellence, we get that we're trying to develop people to be whole people. And I think that when you combine that mission with sport, I think you naturally get that. We have programs in each of those 4 areas. We have ice hockey for physical excellence. Academic excellence includes academic support like one-on-one tutoring. We have a summer academic camp. Social excellence includes our big community service project, Greg Carroll Learn to Skate, and also we're faith-based. So when kids are old enough, they have the choice to go to summer camp, kind of that traditional summer church camp. Every kid in the program has multiple mentors. If they're in tutoring, they have a very special mentor that's just their very own. And then of course the hockey coaches are mentors, and of course all the staff are mentors too. So we have a very high retention rate. Dynamite's high school graduation rate over 20 years is 85%. And over the last 5 years, 96% have graduated, which is really significant because right now Minneapolis Public Schools is reporting that their graduation rate is 53%. So that, I think, is another measure that shows that Dynamites is working. Being a faith-based organization, I think we're able to say things that are really powerful sometimes. You might say to the kids, like, we're going to do some hard things today, and we want you to remember we can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. A few minutes later, we might be asking them to do that hard thing, and you got heads down and panting, and remind them, remember, you have strength. God's given you the strength to do this. You have the strength that you need inside you right now. They might even remember the moments where they began to believe that, where they began to believe, I should be fearless. Only believe, do not fear.
It would break your heart to see what we pull out of here every day. We're out here 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, cleaning up the water.
You guys need some help?
Sure.
Yeah. No way. JJ, what?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
I don't believe it.
JJ,
Come on.
thank you, sir.
Come on.
Isn't that for me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So what are you guys doing out here? What's the whole cleanup about?
Well, we're just doing the right thing. It's a kind of a thankless job. It's out of sight, out of mind. Somebody's got to do it.
What's the dream for the cleanup project?
You know, my dream is for people to think twice before they throw something out.
No problem, boys. I thought I was gonna have to come over there and show you how to do it.
That's not gonna smell good.
Not pleasant. Great play, baby.
What would you do without these guys?
I would be in trouble. I don't know what I would do. Well, these guys are everything to me.
You ever catch anything?
Brackish waters up in here. I've caught castaneted shrimp.
You eat them?
No.
It's been a good day, fellas. I appreciate you guys having me out here. It's eye-opening to see all the trash and everything that you guys pick up.
For me, it's really not just a job, you know, it's a passion.
I appreciate you having me out.
You can swing a mean net, man.
Appreciate you helping us. It was a long, hot day.
You aren't kidding. It's hot.
Talk about it.
Yeah, the heat's a little different than it is on the field.
Hockey.tv continues its coverage of high school hockey right here in the state of Minnesota, and we are proud to be sponsored by Robert Thomas Homes, part of the Tradition Company's family. And joining us here between periods is Carol Griffith, the VP of Sales and Marketing. Carol, like I say, it's our annual checkup. I'm so glad to be speaking with you about Robert Thomas Homes. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thanks.
That's good to hear. You know, Robert Thomas Homes is a very unique community of homes, and I've been through them. They're amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about what Robert Thomas Homes are and where you're located and how those are put together?
Sure. Robert Thomas Homes is a locally owned, award-winning, semi-custom home builder. We build homes or new homes throughout communities in the Twin Cities. We offer a variety of products that appeal to a variety of homeowners. You've got your heritage and villa collection that work well for the first-time move-up buyer. Our tradition collection, which is more of an executive move-up product, as well as our villas that would be single-level living in the empty nester product line.
Where are you located? Do you have various projects that you're working right now, or are you pretty located in one area?
Yep, we have a variety of communities throughout the Twin Cities. Our flagship community is Spirit of Branch and Farm, which is located in Lakeville. We also have the Harvest in Chaska, Tributary on Foster Lake in St. Michael, Creekside Hills in Plymouth, as well as Highcroft in Woodbury.
And you mentioned a couple of different types of potential buyers. I heard move-ups in there. And, you know, if you look at a specific target to what Robert Thomas Homes attracts, what do you see that market being?
Really, we appeal to a wide range. Our single-family village collection heritage is more move-up, even sometimes first-time home buyers. We also offer our single-level living, the villas that appeal to a wide range of empty nesters. So those are two really solid products for us. And then the third is our tradition collection, which is more of an executive. You might see that product ranging anywhere from $700 to over $1 million.
And then in terms of the differences between, let's say, I'm looking to buy a home versus build a home, what are some of the key things I need to consider for that being the right fit for me to actually build and go from there?
I would say number one, do your research. You know, go online, check resources, referrals, reviews. I think that's really important for people nowadays. They can gain a lot of information from that. Check with past customers. Also, I think when you're looking at building a home, number one, look at how long you're going to live there and understand that you're not necessarily going for cheaper is not better. I think it's really important that you do look at quality products and quality finishes because your home, you intend to live there for a long time. It's the largest single investment you're going to make in your lifetime. So you want to make sure that it really withstands the test of time for years to come.
And finally, you have so many great properties, and if I want to research these as I'm doing the things you suggested, how do I get to that easiest? What's my quickest path online to find you?
Definitely visit our website, which is robertthomashomes.com. You can gain information on our communities, our pricing.
Welcome you back inside the Eden Prairie Community Center. Eden Prairie leading Totino-Grace 1-0 after the first period. It was Steves from John Middlestead and Brown at the 11:23 mark of that first period. We'll start with 21 seconds of 4-on-4, and then it'll be about 40 seconds of Totino-Grace power play. As it seemed there was alternating players from each team in the penalty box as that period progressed, as Eden Prairie, Ben Steves able to get it into the offensive zone. Steves gets it to Langfels for a shot and a save by Wes Johnson. He was able to close off the 5-hole. 12 seconds of 4-on-4, 16:51 to go here in the second period. 1-0 Eden Prairie. Steves, quick shot high and wide of the net. It's up toward Luke Middlestead on the far side as he centers it back to John Middlestead. He'll take a shot wide of the net down to the near side. As Totino-Grace flips it up into the rafters and off the stick of Austin Bernovic. As the Totino-Grace power play commences, 39 seconds with the man advantage. 16:38 to go in the period, but a face-off deep in the Totino-Grace end. As Parker Ganaz carries the puck behind his own net. As he starts up, he gets it ahead for Heffron. Heffron as it's swatted away by Steves. Steves, though, can't keep it away from Oliver Moore, as it'll be an offside if Moore touches it. As they touch up, and Eden Prairie able to clear deep into the Totino-Grace zone. Heffron will set up behind his own net with 12 seconds to go in the power play. Ganaz gets it to Connor Smith as it's knocked down, trying to get it to Heffron. Heffron into the offensive zone where he was met by Langfels. It comes behind the net and played back into the neutral zone where we'll get a whistle with 15:54 to go here in the period. And we'll get a penalty for too many men on the ice. So the parade continues as soon as one team gets back to full strength. The other team promptly heads into the penalty box. So Totino-Grace will go right back on the power play. Keelan will take the face-off against Carter Batchelder. Batchelder will be kicked from the circle. Holt will step in. They will be pushed ahead into the Totino-Grace zone. As Wes Johnson plays it up to Luke Delzer. Delzer up in the far side corner, trying to get it to Howie Moore. It's taken away by Batchelder. Batchelder up in the far side corner as Delzer and Oliver Moore trying to get it tied up. Pushed into the neutral zone where Drew Holt will gather it in. It's off the stick of Batchelder at the red line as Jack Gray setting up behind the Totino-Grace net. Played over to Delzer in the near corner. Delzer will set up behind his own net. Delzer will try to outskate Holt. He'll gain the offensive zone. Delzer still with it. Delzer with a shot that goes high into the net. 15:09 to go here in the second period. 1:16 in the Totino-Grace power play. Eden Prairie 1 and Totino-Grace 0. Ben Steves with his 23rd of the year with assists to John Middlestead and Riku Brown coming in that first period. As Ganaz gets it far side to Heffron. Heffron with a shot wide of the net off the boards. Kind of talked about Heffron a little bit in that first period. He'll kind of swap between the defensive position and the forward position to give him a little bit more room to operate as the top scorer on the team. 50 seconds to go here in the power play. As Ganaz able to hold on to it. Head of Canyon Pergandy. As Cam Langfels able to take it away. Drafted to Pergandy. Pergandy is trying to get it back behind him for Stansberry. 2-on-1 the other way. Bernovic into the offensive zone. He gets it back to Heffron. Heffron shot pad. Save Andrews. It's back out in the neutral zone. Really well executed 2-on-1 between Bernovic and Heffron, but Eli Andrews able to make the big save. 20 seconds to go on the Totino-Grace power play. 14-10 in the period as Jack Gray on the left wing into the offensive zone. Gray coming into the near corner. He'll bank it around up toward the far side to Kyle Heffron. Heffron getting it down low to Bernovic, and he pops it into the glove of Andrews. 13:59 to go here in the second period. Face off deep in the Eden Prairie zone. Six seconds to go on the power play as Eden Prairie will play it around toward the near side. It gets by Blake. It'll go deep into the Totino-Grace zone. That'll do it for the power play. Eden Prairie back at full strength. They get it over to Jack Gray. Gray trying to get it to Delzer. As John Middleton able to get it to Steves. Steves into the offensive zone. Steves rips a shot off the post out of play. Ben Steves bidding for his second goal of the game, and he hits iron up out into the netting, and we'll have a face-off in the Totino-Grace zone with 13:38 to go here in the second period. 1-0 Eden Prairie. Steves from John Middleston and Brown in the first period. Steves able to hold on to the puck. He gets it down for the one-time blast. They score! John Middleston from the near side circle. That's his 15th goal of the season, and Eden Prairie widens their lead to 2-0. Steves with a beautiful pass over to John Middleston in the near circle. Coming at the 3:27 mark of the second period. Will Britton picks up the secondary assist on that Middleston goal. This Middleston in the near circle again. Drops it off to Langenbrunner for a shot off the glass. Goes up toward the far side. From the far corner, drop back to the point for a shot by Britton. That'll go wide of the net as it comes down toward the near side. Totino-Grace able to flip it to the red line, or a collision there allows Steves to get it ahead to Middleston. Middleston sends it far side to Blake, who tried to get it back to Steves. It was tipped away. This Langenbrunner able to hold as he slides this one through. It goes through John Middleston's legs. They get it to Bernovic at the red line. Bernovic getting tied up from behind by Blake. Bernovic still able to get a shot away through the blue. As Eden Prairie able to work through the change. Here's Blake in. Blake getting tied up from behind. Blake still has it on his stick as he tried to center it out front as it's played back through the neutral zone. As Casey will set up deep in his own end for Eden Prairie. Stretch pass will be out of reach. Icing waved off. 12:25 to go, second period. 2-0 Eden Prairie. As Batchelder getting tripped up behind the net. That'll allow Totino-Grace to break through neutral as Thielen into the offensive zone. Thielen still with it. Thielen with a shot. Save Andrews. Sam Thielen with a nice offensive effort there, but Andrews again able to come up with the big save. Pushed up toward the far side as Thielen tries to play it through the corner. Thielen battling with Batchelder, ends up on the far side. Here comes Eden Prairie and Batchelder through neutral with Schroeder in front of him as Batchelder slows it down. Tried to drop it back through the slot. It's taken away by Totino-Grace. Thielen gets it up to Darby Jones, who tips it into the Eden Prairie zone. As Luke Middleston can't gain control of it, but Luke Busby can. As it's pushed ahead by Jake Luloff into the offensive zone. Stephen Golden battling in that corner for Totino-Grace. Puck tied up on the end boards and now swept out through neutral as they get it ahead to Luke Delzer. Delzer working his way in front. Delzer shot, save, rebound, score! Luke Delzer, who has probably been the best offensive weapon on this Totino-Grace team over the last 2.5 weeks, has his 17th goal of the season. At a much-needed time, was able to grab his own rebound off the pad save by Andrews, and he halves the deficit 2-1. Eden Prairie leading at 11:22 to go here in the second period. Delzer unassisted. Coming at the 5:38 mark of the second period. So Delzer has his 17th goal of the season. We talked about that torrid stretch that he had recently. Cooled off a little bit since then, but still playing very, very well. Is Tyler Johnson working his way through. Johnson with a shot saved by Wes Johnson, who holds on. 10:55 to go here in the period. Face off to the right of Wes Johnson. Canyon Pergandy will take the face off against Connor Smith. Riku Brown able to tip it back to the blue line. Langenbrunner sliding it under. It's loose in front of Pergandy, and a shot again saved by Johnson. Back to Langenbrunner as he slides it along the near side through the corner. Stansberry can't knock it down behind the net as Johnson able to find it in the blue and covers up with 10:39 to go here in the period. Face-off eventually corralled by Austin Barnovic. He gets it ahead to Connor Smith. Smith able to flip this one in as he got tied up with Britton as it's played over toward the near side. Golden was unable to hold the zone as Riku Brown gathering it in for Eden Prairie. Played over toward the near side. Head for Stansberry into the offensive zone for Brown as Brown is tripped up going to the net. And the net gets knocked off. No penalty was called. You hear some of the come on from the Eden Prairie players as Brown was tied up going to the net. 10:13 to go here in the second period. 2-1 Eden Prairie leading it. Ben Steeves with his 23rd. John Middlesit with his 15th gave the Eagles of Eden Prairie a 2-0 lead. And Luke Delzer with a great effort to catch up to his own rebound and with his 17th. The wraparound attempt by John Middlesit was closed off by Wes Johnson. Played up into the far side corner. Eden Prairie playing it down toward the near side. Steve is able to hold the zone. He'll ring the net up toward the far side. As Will Britton able to push it back to John Middlesit in the corner. It's Howie Moore trying to get the play tied up. Puck is loose next to the net. Totino-Grace able to get it out to neutral. This Langenbrunner setting up in his own zone, trying to get it ahead to Blake. Blake getting it ahead to John Middlesit. Middlesit trying to slide it through to Steeves, and Steeves either didn't get a lot on it or another great save by Wes Johnson as the net got knocked off. I think the puck ended up in the net, official saying no goal. Well, these Eden Prairie faithful, a little bit agitated after these last couple of minutes. They didn't get the penalty on the Brown drive. And now Steeves officially credited no goal on that play a moment ago as Langfeld will play this one through the corner behind the net up toward the far side. John Middlesit plays it back behind down toward the near side. Langfell's trying to gather it in. He got it off ahead of Delzer, but Jack Gray has it as Gray gets it ahead to Delzer. Delzer trying to flip it ahead. Langfell's trying to knock it down. Langfell's battling with Delzer. He's able to push it ahead toward John Middlesit as Gray will be shoved up by Blake into the near side corner. As Delzer able to work it free, gets it to Heffron. Heffron will bank it into the Eden Prairie zone. Heffron battling with Luke Middlesit in the far side corner. Oliver Moore trying to dig it out. Here comes Steeves through neutral ice. Steeves with Blake. Steeves trying to drive around Stephen Golden. He'll drop it back through the slot. One-time blast from Langfell's wide of the net off the boards up through the far side. Middlesit was able to hold. He gets it to John Middlesit. 8.5 minutes to go, just past the midpoint of this second period. 2-1 Eden Prairie leading it. As Golden gets it ahead to Oliver Moore. Oliver Moore drops it back to Golden. Golden with a shot and a glove save by Eli Andrews with 8:16 to go in the period. Talked about in the open, Totino-Grace has seen a lot of state contenders over the last 2.5 to 3 weeks. Some of the games have gone fairly well for them, others not so much, including their last two against Maple Grove and Blake, because Golden with a drive that's blocked Comes down to the near side. Turnaround shot, Bernovic through the blue up toward the far side. But for the most part, against teams like Blaine and Andover, they've played very well against those teams and took both of those teams to overtime. They were able to tie Andover. Unfortunately, weren't able to pull it out against Blaine. They slide this one through, and it's just tipped wide by Batchelder as Jake Luloff got this one through. Busby with it. Busby behind the net. Busby down into the near side corner, trying to play it back to Holt. As Oliver Moore almost intercepted, but it was able to get through, and then a shot high and wide of the net by Batchelder. It's Casey with a drive and a glove save by Wes Johnson with 7:27 to go here in the period. Langenbrunner controls the face-off. This one sent toward Johnson. It's loose in the slot. Johnson able to get on top of it as Blake was tied up out front. They'll have another face-off with 7:21 to go here in the second period. Quick shot off the face-off off the glass from Steves. So Steves accidentally collides with Blake. They get it back to Langenbrunner, who was able to hold the zone. It's Holt behind the net fighting with Ganaz. As Middlestead able to try to center it, but it's intercepted and then taken away once again here by Blake. Blake will try to thread this one through as Steves will pick it up behind the net. Steves circling. Steves down to the near side, drops it back to Blake. Blake still with it. Blake working his way through the slot as he's going to be tripped up. Penalty coming here against Totino-Grace. Extra attacker is on for Eden Prairie. As Blake out front, shot pad save. And Totino-Grace able to touch up with 6:37 to go here in the period. We will have an Eden Prairie power play coming. As Parker Ganaz will head to the penalty box. 6:37 to go here in the second period. Eden Prairie 2 and Totino-Grace 1. Eden Prairie getting a first period goal from Ben Steves, a second period goal from John Middlestead. Go ahead 2-0. Eden Prairie controls the face-off. Here's Luke Middlestead with it. Luke Delzer getting Totino-Grace on the board here in the second period with his 17th. Middlestead, one-time blast from Blake. It's knocked down in front and just pushed wide as it's banked off the near side boards. And will go for a full-length clear. As Luke Middlestead drops it behind him to Blake. Blake sending it far side for Luke Middlestead. Middlestead into the offensive zone. Middlestead fighting with Golden on the far side as he'll back down. Drops it over to John Middlestead. Middlestead able to work his way through Heffron. Drops it back to Blake. One-time blast save Johnson. As Totino-Grace able to clear. As Heffron will get to the puck first in the Eden Prairie zone. As Middlestead will try to fend him off in the corner. Eden Prairie able to work the puck free. Blake. Head to Steves. Steves into the offensive zone. Steves drops it to John Middlestead. Steves sends to the far side circle. There's Luke Middlestead with it. Middlestead has it taken away. Bernovic trying to clear. Here comes Stephen Golden into the offensive zone with Middlestead trying to catch up. Shot! And a pad save and held onto by Andrews. As Golden coming in all alone. With 5:18 to go here in the second period. 41 seconds to go in the power play for for Totino-Grace, but a face-off in the offensive zone. Able to be controlled by Eden Prairie. With Langenbrunner getting it toward the far side. As Holt will drop it back to Batchelder in the circle. Batchelder in the offensive zone. Batchelder circling the net. Drops it far side. Langenbrunner trying to slide this one through. It's intercepted out front by Howie Moore, and he'll clear it out. It's Mason Langenbrunner Trying to get to it ahead of Sam Thielen as Luke Busby able to grab a hold of it for Eden Prairie. Batchelder gets it to Holt with 5 seconds to go in the power play. Batchelder scores! Power play goal for Carter Batchelder, and Eden Prairie restores the 2-goal lead. It's 3-1. No, for Batchelder, that's his 13th of the season. Did miss 5 games. As he took the great feed from Holt out front. And so Carter Batchelder with the power play goal, putting Eden Prairie ahead by 2 once again. 4:25 now to go here in the second period. 3-1 Eden Prairie. As Totino-Grace had a great shorthanded opportunity, but E.Y. Anders made a great save on Stephen Golden. There's Riku Brown with a shot. Puck is still loose in front of the net. Johnson didn't know where it was as Brown will get it out of the end boards. It's knocked down in front. Turnaround shot is tipped over the top of the net. It's back to Jack Casey. Casey been blocked off the stick of Langfells. Connor Smith into the offensive zone. Smith with a shot saved by Andrews as it's played up into the corner. There's Riku Brown trying to push the puck ahead along in front of the Eden Prairie bench. Be sent back in front of the Eagle net. There's Brown in the far side corner. He's pushed ahead for Pergandy. Pergandy will get it ahead into the Totino-Grace zone. 3:25 to go, second period. Stretch pass ahead is out of the reach of Bernovic, and that'll be icing. With 3:22 to go. If they had gotten that on Bernovic's stick, they would have had numbers. But he couldn't get any wood on it, and then it'll come back into the Totino-Grace zone with 3:22 to go here in the period. Busby going to get it down low is Golden trying to clear but can't. As Luke Schroeder trying to push it ahead. He can't clear either. So flip down toward the near side, getting it toward Bernovic. Bernovic takes a big hit from Langenbrunner. Bernovic, though, able to come up with the puck as he'll shoot one wide of the net from the near side boards. Blake through neutral ice. Blake giving it off to John Middlestitt. Middlestitt, though, was fended off nicely by Schroeder into the end boards. Still loose behind the Totino-Grace net. Blake able to come up with it. Blake slides it down toward the near side toward Steves. Langenbrunner back at the blue line, trying to get it ahead toward Steves. Flip back into the neutral zone. Langenbrunner getting it ahead to Middlestitt. Middlestitt will dump it in deep to the Totino-Grace zone. 2:25 to go, second period. 3-1 Eden Prairie with the lead. This Golden to Heffron. Heffron trying to work his way through. Heffron with a shot just wide of the net. As Heffron, an excellent stick handler, putting that on display once again as he just pushed it wide and then crashed into the net. We'll have a face-off with 2:17 to go here in the period. Face-off controlled by Eden Prairie. They play it over toward Luke Middlestitt. Holt trying to get it ahead toward Batchelder as it's pushed back toward the red line. Sent in deep by Luke Middlestitt. It's over toward the near side corner. Holt and Batchelder in the near corner will push for it. With Adam Johnson down there for Totino-Grace. Batchelder comes away with it. Batchelder getting up to Britton. Britton with a shot saved by Johnson. It's loose by and just shot wide again by Britton. Luke Middlestitt can't hold the zone. Middlestitt able to get it back to Britton. Batchelder can't get it on his stick as it's pushed back into the neutral zone. Sent down toward the near side. As Ganaz Ganazias will bank it off the glass and send it in deep for icing with 1:20 to go here in the period. 3-1. Eden Prairie with the lead. The goals from Steves, John Middlestitt, and Batchelder. Luke Delzer with the sole goal for Totino-Grace thus far. It's a nice job here by Bernovic to force it into the Eden Prairie zone. As he'll battle with Langfels for it. Oliver Moore able to come away with it. It's Oliver Moore, though, has it taken away in kind by Stansberry. He gets it ahead to Riku Brown. Back to Stansberry. Johnson was out of his net, and Stansberry shot it wide. As Stansberry went hard into the boards. Up for a blast is Langfels, as it's pad saved there by Johnson up into the corner. 45 seconds to go in the period. And maybe one that Kai Stansberry would like to have back just a moment ago. As Eden Prairie will flip it in deep as Wes Johnson was well out of the net. Drop pass Blake. And a shot wide by Steves. Steves trying the wraparound will get a whistle with 30.2 to go here in the period. As Kai Stansberry had a wide open net with Wes Johnson caught well out of position. We'll have a puck played with a high stick, and that'll bring it deep into the Eden Prairie end with 30.2 to go in the period. Face-off played into the near side corner. It's banked ahead toward Blake, but it's out of his reach. As Ganaz with it for Totino-Grace in his own zone. More to Heffron. It's tipped off his stick. Sent back toward Blake. Blake into the offensive zone. Blake with a shot, glove save, Wes Johnson. 13 seconds to go here in the period. Eden Prairie able to control the face-off. Langenbrunner on the near side, trying to thread this one through. That hit Thielen hard, and he's having a little bit of trouble getting up as we'll get an icing whistle here with 2.3 to go here in the period. Now one more face-off for Eden Prairie in the offensive zone. As Eden Prairie will bring the extra attacker on. A 6-on-5 to try to wrap up this period as Eden Prairie able to win the face-off. Langfels pokes one through, stick save Johnson at the buzzer. So we'll go to the second intermission with Eden Prairie leading at 3-1. Luke Delzer putting Totino-Grace on the board. That made it a 2-1 game. But Carter Batchelder with his 13th putting Eden Prairie back up by 2. After 2 here at the Eden Prairie Community Center, it's Eden Prairie 3, Totino-Grace 1. We're going to take a break and come back with your third period in about 10 minutes. You're watching MN Hockey TV.
I'm Callie Funk. I'm the program director for the Herb Brooks Foundation, and I've been with the foundation since January of 2017, so a little over a year and a half. I think that Herb Brooks would be very proud of the program. He always talked about building it from the ground up, and I think that's exactly what we're doing here. We're having youth participate, and they can start whenever they'd like, and you know, we're not trying to make that pyramid, we're trying to just keep the base growing all the way up, and I think he'd really be proud of what we're doing here.
The Herb Brooks Foundation started the Rink Rep program over 10 years ago to give the kids a chance to play the game my dad loves so much. Our Rink Rep program is supposed to be fun. Gotta smile, remember it's just a game. Get out and exercise, play all year round. Play on the ice, play in your driveway, play at school. We just hope that you love the game.
So we really try to emphasize the importance of Herb Brooks and the 1980 Miracle team within our program. Herb Brooks stood for a lot of different valuable life lessons, and so we really want to instill the importance of positivity, teamwork, and really coming together as a team in order to meet one common goal.
The Herb Brooks Foundation started the Rink Rat program over 10 years ago. We started it to really keep my dad's legacy alive with children. His philosophy always was to give the game back to the kids and learn to love the game the way he grew up playing, and that was with his buddies out on Lake Phelan, playing street hockey, just those pickup games. And we wanted to have that atmosphere built in for these young children. Instead of structured association hockey, we wanted to get the kids back playing. At the end of the Rink Rat session, we hope kids take away from the program, number one, friends. I hope they made friends and had fun. And we hope they have a true love for the game, the way that we love the game. We have had several kids go on to play association hockey from our inner city Rink Rat programs. We've educated parents on how to enroll their kids in association hockey. Some of them didn't even know there was such a thing.
We currently are mostly involved in Minneapolis, and that's all areas of Minneapolis. We have a couple schools in North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, Northeast, and in St. Paul. Last winter we were working out of Phelan, Harding, and the new Tria rink in St. Paul. So we really try to cover a broad area so that we can include as many kids as possible. So the best way, I think, to reach out and get involved would be to visit our website, herbrooksfoundation.com. You can find all of our information about the Rink Rats programs, any clinics we have in the spring or summer or fall. You can also find contact information for the foundation, as well as many different links to pictures, events such as the Sticks in Stillwater, the golf tournament, Let's Play Hockey Expo, and there's also a good following for our volunteer base as well.
Hockey.tv continues its coverage of high school hockey right here in the state of Minnesota, and we are proud to be sponsored by Robert Thomas Homes, part of the Tradition Company's family. And joining us here between periods is Carol Griffith, the VP of Sales and Marketing. Carol, like I say, it's our annual checkup. I'm so glad to be speaking with you about Robert Thomas Homes. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thanks.
That's good to hear. You know, Robert Thomas Homes is a very unique community of homes, and I've been through them. They're amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about what Robert Thomas Homes are and where you're located and how those are put together?
Sure. Robert Thomas Homes is a locally owned, award-winning, semi-custom home builder. We build homes or new homes throughout communities in the Twin Cities. We offer a variety of products that appeal to a variety of homeowners. You've got your heritage and villa collection that work well for the first-time move-up buyer. Our tradition collection, which is more of an executive move-up product, as well as our villas that would be single-level living in the empty nester product line.
Where are you located? Do you have various projects that you're working right now, or are you pretty located in one area?
Yep, we have a variety of communities throughout the Twin Cities. Our flagship community is Spirit of Branch and Farm, which is located in Lakeville. We also have the Harvest in Chaska, Tributary on Foster Lake in St. Michael, Creekside Hills in Plymouth, as well as Highcroft in Woodbury.
And you mentioned a couple of different types of potential buyers. I heard move-ups in there. And, you know, if you look at a specific target to what Robert Thomas Homes attracts, what do you see that market being?
Really, we appeal to a wide range. Our single-family village collection heritage is more move-up, even sometimes first-time home buyers. We also offer our single-level living, the villas that appeal to a wide range of empty nesters. So those are two really solid products for us. And then the third is our tradition collection, which is more of an executive. You might see that product ranging anywhere from $700 to over $1 million.
And then in terms of the differences between, let's say, I'm looking to buy a home versus build a home, what are some of the key things I need to consider for that being the right fit for me to actually build and go from there?
I would say number one, do your research. Go online, check resources, referrals, reviews. I think that's really important for people nowadays. They can gain a lot of information from that. Check with past customers. Also, I think when you're looking at building a home, number one, look at how long you're going to live there and understand that you're not necessarily going for cheaper is not better. I think it's really important that you do look at quality products and quality finishes because your home you intend to live there for a long time. It's the largest single investment you're going to make in your lifetime, so you want to make sure that it really withstands the test of time for years to come.
And finally, you have so many great properties, and if I want to research these as I'm doing the things you suggested, how do I get to that easiest? What's my quickest path online to find you?
Definitely visit our website, which is robertthomashomes.com. You can gain information on our communities, our pricing, our quick move-in homes. We also have interactive floor plans. All of that is available on robertthomashomes.com.
Okay, that's great, and we appreciate your time. Carol, good luck to you and have an incredible winter, and let's enjoy it and get to spring, which we all love so much. It'll come soon enough,
great.
Right? All right, that's Carol Griffith, Vice President of Sales and Marketing from Robert Thomas Homes. We'll be back with more right after this.
Welcome you back inside the Eden Prairie Community Center. 3-1 Eden Prairie after 2 periods. Along with David Hill, and I'm Patrick Gullia. Quick scoring summary for you in the first period. It was Ben Steeves from John Middlestitt and Riku Brown that made it 1-0 Eden Prairie. Second period, it was Middlestitt from Holt and Busby, and that made it 2-0 Eden Prairie. It was Middlestitt's 15th. And Steve's 23rd. Luke Delzer unassisted for Totino-Grace in the second period, made it 2-1. That was his 17th of the year. And then Carter Batchelder with his 13th of the year. That made it 3-1 Eden Prairie. That came on the power play. John Middlestitt racing to get to this one ahead of Delzer. We'll drop it back to Steve. Steve will play it off the end boards. We play it up toward the far side. And then end up in the neutral zone. Steve still with it, showing off that speed and that stick handling ability, as that'll be an offside. 16:30 to go here in regulation. 3-1 Eden Prairie leading Totino-Grace. Batchelder from Holt, that third goal. That coming on the power play. And taken away and then centered for Batchelder. They get it on the back door to Holt. And he just pushed it wide. It ends up on the far side boards. A heavy collision on the far side between Jake Luloff and Oliver Moore. It's played over toward the far side. Luke Middlestitt into the offensive zone. Middlestitt with a shot saved by Wes Johnson out of play. Wes Johnson, just a freshman, didn't start the season as the primary goaltender, but rapidly assumed that role. Here's Busby. Busby through traffic. That hit the post, and it's able to be covered up by Johnson. Oh, Busby, you could just watch that one from where I'm standing just buzz its way toward the net, and it caught iron on the far side of the net. Busby will control it once again. He'll play it toward Brown. It'll get past him. Pergandy tied up on the end boards by Schroeder as it comes down toward the near side. Turnaround shot by Pergandy goes wide as Brown racing Darby Jones to the puck. Brown will try to play it through the corner. It comes down to Sam Thielen on the near side. Thielen is tied up there. Puck is still being battled for. Pergandy pokes it along as the stick is lost. Adam Johnson and Riku Brown in that mess as well. The puck is still loose and now gathered in by Totino-Grace. As Thielen doesn't poked away by Stansberry. Pergandy, he's smacked by Luke Schroeder. Pergandy a little bit slow to get up after that knock. There's Darby Jones off ahead for Adam Johnson. Johnson will bank it off the near side boards. Luke Middlestitt carrying it into the offensive zone. He'll drop it off just inside the blue line where it's tipped back out. As Eden Prairie will flip it back in. It's Parker Ganaz up the right wing. He'll ring it around the net up toward the far side. Eden Prairie able to work it free to Steeves. Steeves into the offensive zone, working his way around. Ganaz shot at point blank, saved Johnson, net knocked off. 14:35 to play here in regulation. Middlestitt will take the face-off against against Jones. It's played through the corner down toward the near side. As John Middlestitt can't quite hold the zone, it's played back out to neutral. As Delzer was trying to get it ahead toward Heffron. It'll allow Howie Moore to play it in deep. 14:17 to go here in regulation as Oliver Moore on the far side tied up by Luke Middlestitt. Blake into the offensive zone, dropped it off just inside the blue line. Penalty coming here against Totino-Grace. Extra attacker coming on for the Eagles of Eden Prairie as the Totino-Grace side touches up. And we will have a face-off with 14:01 to go here in the third period. And Eden Prairie will go back on the power play for the fourth time in the game. They're 1 for 3. Batchelder, who has the power play goal in the face-off circle against Luke Delzer. Controlled by Langenbrunner for Eden Prairie. Langenbrunner skirting the blue line. Still with it on the far side. He drops it back to Holt in the circle. Holt pokes it back to Busby. Busby at the blue line over to Langenbrunner. Langenbrunner sliding it down through traffic. Comes back to Holt. Holt with a shot save. Rebound is still loose. Johnson gets it covered up. Johnson kind of looked behind him. He wasn't sure where that puck was as players were whacking at it out front. Well, they did rule that he was on top of it. And we'll have a face-off with 13:39 to play here in regulation. 3-1, Eden Prairie with the lead. 1:39 in the power play as Langenbrunner again controls the face-off. Shot save Johnson. Loudly ricochets off out front. That goes up to the far side boards. Busby and Gray still trying to dig that puck out. Luloff just waiting for that puck to come loose. Luloff trying to work it back to the point. Langenbrunner able to gain control as he slides it along to Busby. Back over to Holt. Holt with a shot. Save Wes Johnson. Holt in the circle. Gets it back to Langenbrunner. Back to Holt. Holt to Batchelder. Batchelder tried to slide it through the blue. Eden Prairie again, though, able to come out with it. Here's Langenbrunner over to Holt. Holt back to Langenbrunner. Langenbrunner to the far side and Busby. Busby drops it to Langenbrunner. Langenbrunner out front to Batchelder and a save at point blank by Johnson. 12:41 to go here in regulation. 40 seconds in the power play. Blake off the face-off, gets it to Luke Middlestead. Middlestead over to John Middlestead into the corner for Steves. Steves, getting it back to John Middlestead, Luke Middlestead, Blake on the near side. Blake over to John Middlestead. Luke Middlestead with it once again. Blake has it poked away here by Heffron, but it's able to be maintained by Luke Middlestead. John Middlestead with it, he'll work his way around Bernovic. Dropping it now behind the net for Steves. Steves over to Blake. 7 seconds in the power play. One-time blast. Luke Middlestead save Wes Johnson. Back to Blake. Blake will circle. The power play is over. Blake with a drive, and that hit the post. As Blake just kind of took that quick little shot from the near circle and hit the post. Icing here with 11:51 to play in regulation. 3-1, Eden Prairie leading it. The officials are going to have a conversation perhaps about that last play. You know, the conversation continuing between all three officials. They'll bring it now into the neutral zone. And we'll have a center ice face-off with 11:51 to play here in regulation. Face-off gathered in by Tyler Johnson as he drops it back into the Eden Prairie zone. Tipped in at the red line by Eden Prairie. Is shorter behind his own net. Play it up toward the far side corner. As Golden able to get it ahead for Oliver Moore. Oliver Moore for Connor Smith on the near side. They'll have to retreat into their own zone. It's almost taken away by Stansberry. Great job here by Delzer initially to maintain the puck as Oliver Moore able to come up with it. Moore into the offensive zone. Moore trying to work his way through but lost control, and Luke Middlestead was able to push it into the neutral zone. As Delzer and Golden trying to get Luke Middlestead tied up. It comes free out front, and Pergandy pushes it in on Wes Johnson, who holds on. 11:10 to go here in regulation. Totino-Grace plays the face-off toward Ganaz. Ganaz takes a big hit on the near side. Heffron gets it into the neutral zone as Casey will play it back in deep to the Totino-Grace end. It comes down to Ganaz on the near side. Ganaz rings it off to Howie Moore. Moore plays it through the corner in the direction of Bernovic as two Eden Prairie players collide. Back out in the neutral zone. Busby has it at the red line. He'll play it in deep. As Wes Johnson out of his own net will play it along the far side. Bernovic was trying to get it cross ice to Heffron. As Gray gets it to Heffron. Heffron drops it back to Bernovic. Bernovic with a shot. He scores! Austin Bernovic draws Totino-Grace within one with 10:31 to play. For Bernovic, that's his 9th goal of the season. As Gray, Heffron, and Bernovic in the offensive zone able to get Bernovic that drive from the slot, and Totino-Grace draws within one with 10:31 to go. It's Heffron and Gray getting the assists. Bernovic able to draw Totino-Grace within one. 10:15 to go in regulation. And we've talked about a little bit in the early part of the game all the wild finishes involving Totino-Grace over the last 3 weeks. And we could be setting ourselves up for another one as John Middlestead gets it across to Langenbrunner. Langenbrunner trying to slide it down. Johnson able to make the save. It comes back to Britton. He's able to hold. Plays it past Blake through the near side up to the far side. Delzer trying to backhand it ahead. Britton able to hold. Connor Smith wasn't able to clear as Britton will push one in on Johnson, who snags it. 9:43 to go here in regulation. 3-2 Eden Prairie. Bergandy will take the face-off against Oliver Moore. Luke Middlestead with it. Middlestead is it tipped in on goal. Johnson was able to make the save. Bernovic trying to clear, which he does, but it'll be an icing with 9:32 to go. Well, Bernovic, we talked about, got off to a strong start to the season. Wasn't really showing up on the stat sheet very often for a good part of the middle portion, but it started over the last 2 or 3 games to really heat up again at a power play goal against Maple Grove. And now tonight able to get the Totino-Grace Eagles back within one here against Eden Prairie. It's played in deep here by Stansberry. Johnson pokes it aside. Bergandy in the corner. He'll take a hit from Schroeder. It's played up toward Bernovic on the far side. Bernovic gets it over to Connor Smith. Smith into the offensive zone. He can't work around Luke Middlestead. Luke Middlestead gains possession in the corner. He carries it up to the far side. Middlestead still with it. Gets around Oliver Moore. Speeds around Bernovic into the offensive zone. Tries to drop it to Riku Brown, but it was tipped away. It comes toward the center of the ice again as Stansberry drops it to Langfeld for a shot just wide of the net. Is Batchelder getting Schroeder pinned up in the far side corner. They get it to Batchelder again. Batchelder with a shot, save Johnson, and he's able to pull it in. 8:32 to go in regulation. 3-2. Eden Prairie leading Totino-Grace. Austin Bernovic drawing Totino-Grace within one here in the third period. Drew Holt will take the face-off against Jack Gray. As Busby through traffic and a glove save by Johnson. Face-off to the right of Johnson. Batchelder will take it against Gray. Ganaz controls for Totino-Grace. He'll play it off the glass toward the blue line as Luloff able to knock it down. Centers for Batchelder, and he shoots one off the post. Another centering feed, trying to get it to Batchelder. Batchelder with a turnaround shot as he was being knocked down by Heffron. Puck comes through the corner up to the far side. Langenbrunner quickly over to Busby. Busby through traffic, glove save Johnson. Face off, 8:02 to go here in the third period. Along with David Hill, and I'm Patrick Lilia from the Eden Prairie Community Center. Face off to the right of Wes Johnson. So we hit the 9-minute mark of the final period, 8 minutes to play as Delzer gets it into the neutral zone, flips it ahead toward Adam Johnson. Johnson getting spun around by Busby. And Eden Prairie breaking back with John Middleston into the offensive zone as it's poked around in the slot. And cleared back out to neutral ice where Luke Middleston gathers it in at the red line. With the cross ice to Langenbrunner, now takes it back. 7:35 to go in regulation, 3-2 Eden Prairie. As Langenbrunner dumps it in deep to the near side corner. Moore plays it toward Ganaz on the far side. They get it ahead to Delzer. Delzer to Adam Johnson. Johnson carries it into the offensive zone. He'll have a shot tipped and blocked wide of the net. 7:15 to go in regulation, 3-2 Eden Prairie as Delzer flips it in deep. Andrew steers it aside. Luke Middleston chased by Oliver Moore. Played over to Ben Steve. Steve flipped it far side for John Middleston. Middleston into the offensive zone for Blake. Blake from the circle. Tried to center it for Middleston. It was knocked away. Casey through traffic. Pad save. Johnson comes to Blake in the near corner. He sends it far side for Luke Middleston. Trying to send it down low, and Middleston tipped it wide. That was John Middleston on the shot down low. As Blake were able to work through Golden. Gets it to John Middleston on the far side as he gets through Bernovic. Bernovic, though, able to get the puck free. Flip it through neutral ice to Connor Smith. Smith trying to drive into the offensive zone. He pokes it at Andrews, who covers up with 6:27 to go. As Jake Casey was all over Connor Smith. And Connor Smith, who has scored some big goals for Totino-Grace this season, including what many thought was going to be the game winner against Andover with 1:35 to play in regulation of that game, but the Huskies were able to tie it less than a minute later, that game ending in a 3-3 tie. As Heffron will play it from the corner down toward the near side. Works its way into the neutral zone. Stansberry trying to play it ahead as Golden at the blue line was able to keep it out. Now here's Brown. He'll work his way up into the far side corner. Comes out toward Pergandy out front. Britton sliding up for a shot wide of the net. Stansberry will put one in on Johnson from a bad angle as it comes down to the near side. Flipped out toward Heffron. Heffron trying to work through Britton. Big size difference between those two, but Britton able to spin Heffron around and down to the ice as it's played toward Brown. It'll be caught up to by Brown. Brown! Save Johnson. No, he scored a tapped in as I think Pergandy might have gotten to that loose puck. Brown took the shot. I think they are going to give that one to Brown. 5:40 to go here in regulation. Riku Brown with a big goal for Eden Prairie, and they lead it 4-2. For Brown, that's his 8th goal of the season. Stansberry picking up the lone assist. So Eden Prairie with a big insurance goal as Totino-Grace was breathing down their neck a little bit. It's Delzer able to keep it on his stick. Quick shot, pad save Andrews. It's banked off the glass back into the neutral zone. Here's Holt with it. Holt in the near side corner as he's slammed into by Ganaz. Banked back out to neutral ice. As Busby gets it ahead toward Luloff. Holt joining the fray. As Busby flips it in. They'll go through the far side corner. As Ganaz plays it back over to Thielen on the near side. Head toward Adam Johnson. Johnson trying to get it ahead for Delzer, was tied up by Langenbrunner. Holt aggressively trying to knock that puck away. It's free at the red line. Here's Oliver Moore into the offensive zone. Moore getting fended off by Batchelder, and then Batchelder puts on a nice hit. Puck is still free on the far side. There's now Connor Smith with it. Smith gets it to the red line. Ganaz plays it in deep. 4:30 to go in regulation. 4-2, Eden Prairie leading Totino-Grace. As Bernovic trying to bank it into the corner where it's taken away by John Middlestead. Middlestead gets it ahead to Blake. Blake into the offensive zone. Blake trying to slide it down low for a shot from Steves as Steves takes a big shot at the end of the play. 4:12 to play in regulation. 4-2 Eden Prairie leading it. Some physical play here. John Middlestead will take the face-off against Oliver Moore. It's Luke Middlestead with it. Middlestead winds up for a blast, and that goes wide of the net. Steves, back to Langfeld. Langfeld with a shot glove save. Johnson who holds on. Face-off, still loose in the circle. John Middlestead with it. Middlestead trying to play it along the far side boards. 3:52 to play in regulation. 4-2 Eden Prairie leading it. Big goal from Riku Brown a few minutes ago. As Middlestead whiffs on trying to get it down low. That'll allow it to get to Connor Smith. Smith has it taken away here by Steve. Steve with a nice move. Steve's into the offensive zone. Steve, though, can't work his way through Schroeder and Golden. Blake back with it on the far side. Loose in the circle. They get it through to Blake. What a move. Blake with a shot wide of the net as he was trying, I think, actually to get it down to Steves as it'll work through the neutral zone and will go for icing with 3:13 to go in the game. Busby trying to play it through to Riku Brown. Brown and Ganaz fighting for it in the corner. Ganaz able to work it free. He gets it ahead to Heffron. Heffron into the offensive zone. Heffron drops it to Gray. Gray with a shot over the net. Ganaz able to hold the zone. As Darby Jones couldn't gain possession, it's played over toward the near side corner. Brown plays it through neutral. Ganaz will try to play it back. Icing waved off as Busby will set up deep in his own end. 2:25 to go here in the third period. As Pergandy plays it far side for Stansberry. Stansberry plays it in deep to the Totino-Grace zone. Here's Brown in the near side corner. Middlestead whiffs out front. Batchelder will try to play it back behind the Totino-Grace net. Shorter able to gain control. He'll flip it out through neutral. As Langfeld plays it over to Luke Middlestead with 2 minutes to go in the game. Batchelder in the offensive zone. He has it knocked away by Golden. We'll watch Wes Johnson as Totino-Grace pushes it into the offensive zone. Johnson took a few skates ahead. Now he retreats back to his own net. Batchelder into the offensive zone. Batchelder with a shot wide of the net. We get it back to Luloff, who shoots one high and wide and out of play with 1:34 to go. So Eden Prairie leading by 2 with 1:34 to play. Riku Brown with a big insurance goal for Eden Prairie, after Austin Bernovic had cut it to 3-2. It's flipped in by Steves. It'll work its way through the far side corner down to John Middlestead on the near side. 1:25 to go in the game. 4-2 Eden Prairie with the lead. Middlestead sends it far side for Langfeld. Langfeld with a shot blocked. Bernovic gathers it in. Tries to get it ahead for Oliver Moore as Luke Middlestead gets it back to John Middlestead at the red line. John Middlestead into the offensive zone. Dropped it to Steves. It's off his stick. So we hit 1 minute to go in regulation. 4-2 Eden Prairie. It's now they were looking to get Johnson out of the net, but have to play it deep from their own zone once again. That's Howie Morrison's at cross ice. Langfell's able to take it away into the offensive zone. They slide it through to Steves, and he scores! Ben Steves with his second goal of the game, and that'll put the icing on this one. Steves now with 24 goals on the season. 5-2 Eden Prairie, 39.6 to play.
Scoring for Eden Prairie, number 6, Ben Steves, assisted by number 10, Jackson Blake.
Jackson Blake and Cam Langfell is picking up the assists. We're looking ahead at the upcoming schedule. 38.5 remaining in the game. It's pushed ahead into the Totino-Grace zone. Eden Prairie will be at Minnetonka Saturday night. That'll be a huge game in the Lake Conference. We'll have that for you on MN Hockey TV with Pete and Bart. As there's Heffron into the offensive zone. Nice stick move. Heffron, though, pushed it through the blue. Heffron backhand shot on Andrews, and Andrews made the save. 10 seconds to go in the game. As Heffron puts a hit on Tyler Johnson at the red line. It's played in by Jorgensen as the game comes to an end. As Eden Prairie withstands a spirited challenge from Totino-Grace. And Eden Prairie able to win this one 5-2. A pair of big third period goals to put the game away from Riku Brown, and the second goal of the game from Ben Steves. We're going to wrap it up here from the Eden Prairie Community Center. With Thursday night, Edina takes on Buffalo on MN Hockey TV. We'll have that for you. Then Saturday, the big game between Eden Prairie and Minnetonka. Saturday night at 7 o'clock. That'll be on MN Hockey TV as well. Totino-Grace will take on Centennial on Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we talked about a little bit in the beginning. That could be a big game for who's going to get a home sectional game. So for Dave Hill, and I'm Patrick Villia, we'll talk to you next time from an arena near you. The final score one more time, Eden Prairie 5 and Totino-Grace 2. Have a good night, everybody.